Piñata party. So, this piñata party does not just have to be for Galentine's Day, but we are going to focus on hearts because it's that time of the year. So we're going to be making a really cool, really fun mini piñata. And this is one that you can use for lots of different occasions and not just Valentine's Day. So before we get started, there is a template that I included in this class that has the heart shape that I'm going to be using today. And it also has a half circle, it has a circle, and it has a little donkey or llama or whatever kind of animal you want to turn this into. So that pattern is available to you. If you don't have a pattern or you don't have a printer, it's okay. We can make our own heart and then we can use that as the template. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time to either find this template or cut yourself out some sort of heart. If you have a wooden piece of heart, or if you have some cardstock that you can make yourself a template, then you can use that. So mine is probably about, let's see, I think it's about 7 inches wide. So I like the mini piñata size because I like to be able to give it as a gift, put it on a table for a tablescape. And this is big enough to hang from somewhere and really bust it open and get some goodies out too. So you can always make this bigger using the exact same process that we're going to use today, but we're going to make this mini size. So a couple of things I want you to know about. I want you to know about the Learn with Michael's Instagram channel. And my personal Instagram channel is 4M Coleman. So if you want to kind of keep track of some of the other projects that I'm working on, or if you want to see more pictures from today's class, you can always go there. And I also want to tell you about some other classes that I've been teaching lately. So this is a really fun hand knit heart pillow. And this hand knit heart pillow is a class that's already available on YouTube if you want to learn how to make this. Yesterday, we did some paint pouring hearts. So if you've ever tried paint pour before, this video is available on YouTube for you to watch that class. And then coming up next week, we have a perfect planter class where I'm going to teach you how to make a faux succulent arrangement so that you don't ever have to water or take care of or kill plants ever again. And I'm also going to start teaching how to do wood burning. So lots of different classes are coming to you on Thursdays and Fridays in February and March. And today's class is this really cute mini piñata. So what you need for your mini piñata is a template of a heart or just a heart shape if you want to cut your own out. You need some cardstock. It doesn't matter if your cardstock is normal paper size or if it's 12 by 12, just anything that's cardstock is going to work for us, and really any color, because remember, you're going to cover it all up with some designs anyway, so it doesn't matter what color the underneath part is. So we need some cardstock, you need a ruler, you need some glue, you need some tape. I like to use my tape in a dispenser because I sometimes need 2 hands and I don't like to have to use a roll if I don't have to. So some tape and some sort of crepe paper. So Michael sells this crepe paper in the party aisle where you can get lots of different colors of this. You can also use tissue paper, you can use construction paper, and we also sell crepe paper in 12 by 12 sheets in the same section where the paper is. So if you have some cardstock or you got some from there, you can also get that in crepe paper also, which is really cool. So the very first thing that we're going to do to get ourselves started is find our templates and cut out 2 hearts. So the reason why we're going to cut out 2 hearts on our cardstock is because you're going to basically make a heart sandwich. You're going to have the front heart, you're going to have the back heart, and then I'm going to show you how to connect them together with these connector pieces. So we're going to cut out 2 of our heart shape of any color, any kind of cardstock. I'm going to use 2 layers of this blue cardstock just because I happen to have it. And I have my template, but if you need to make your own size heart, that's fine. Your heart can be whatever you want it to be as long as the top and the bottom match. So I'm going to go ahead and put all of these together. There's 3 layers. There's the template, and there's the 2 layers of cardstock. And I'm going to cut through all 3 layers to cut out this heart. And no need to be perfect, because remember, the whole point of a piñata, in my opinion, is to break it open later on. So yeah, you're taking the time to make something look fabulous, but this fabulous thing is meant to be broken. It's kind of like when you're little, or you have a little kid who loves to build buildings with blocks and then knock them down. To me, that's what a piñata is all about. Make it as good as you want because you're about to bust it open. So I now have the template, which I no longer need. And I have these 2 cardstock hearts that are the same exact size. And then the next thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to build some strips that are going to give this heart dimension. So we're going to break that apart, and you want them big enough so that you can actually fill them with candy, with prizes, with different things. So usually the width of my piñata is going to be pretty similar to whatever the width of my crepe paper is going to be. So far I have these 2 hearts. If anyone's following along and crafting with me, please let me know in the chat if you need a question answered, if you want me to go back to something, if there's something you want to ask me about piñatas or about any of the upcoming classes, well, let me know. So I cut these 2 out, but I have a lot of extra paper, which is good. I happen to have a paper trimmer, so I'm in luck to make some really nice straight lines. If you don't have a paper trimmer, you can measure, and you can use a ruler and just scissors and do the best you can, or you can fold paper. So to make these strips that are going to separate the 2 hearts, I'm going to cut strips out of my extra card stock that are going to be about 4 inches. So on my paper cutter, I went to the 4-inch line, and I'm cutting this to be 4 inches. You could probably get away with 3 inches if you don't have that much extra, but 4 is more than enough, because when we use these strips, we're going to be folding them over, and I'll show you how to do that in just a minute, and we're going to connect them together. Also, I think I can get away with only 2 strips, because if you look at how big I think I made this heart on purpose so that all you need is 2 strips in order to connect it together. But if you need more paper, it doesn't even need to be the same color paper, because remember, you're going to cover up this piñata. So I have these strips that are 4 inches wide, and I have my 2 hearts. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be making these into like little ditches. So I happen to have this ruler. That's a pretty good size, because my ruler almost matches exactly the same width of my crepe paper. So what I'm going to do with this ruler is I'm going to fold up on this side, and I'm going to fold up on this side in order to kind of make a little valley. So if you don't have a ruler or something to fold up on, you can always measure it. And maybe when you get to 1 inch, you can make a line. And when you get 1 inch to this side, you can make a line, and you can fold them up that way. So if you don't have something to fold around like this ruler, then you can measure them. Just make sure that the strips you're making right now are both going to be the same width, so that your piñata stays the same all the way around. So I'm going to fold up on this side of the ruler, and I'm going to fold up on this side of the ruler. And you might already be asking yourself, how in the world does this make a piñata? That doesn't make any sense. Well, the next step is definitely going to help us. So I've stacked my 2 strips together, and then I'm going to take a pair of scissors. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to cut out a bunch of triangles. So I'm going to go, and the triangles do not all need to be the same. I'm going to go from the bottom to the fold, and I'm going to cut a whole bunch of triangles. And I'll show you the magic of what these triangles are doing in just a second. So I've cut 2 strips. my strips were each 4 inches wide. And then I put a ruler down that's about the same width as my crepe paper. And I fold it up on either side of that ruler to give me those nice 2 really nice creases. And now I'm cutting out triangles because these triangles are going to help us let this paper move and fold in order to make our piñata. So I know that the Super Bowl is this Sunday, but I am celebrating Galentine's Day this Sunday. And so we're definitely going to have some piñatas filled with lots of fun toys and prizes. And probably some money, some candy, all kinds of other things. But these also make really lovely gifts if you want to give somebody a Valentine. I think that this would be a perfect treat for really anyone of any age. So I'm cutting out all of these triangles on both sides, both strips that have been folded up. And what we're doing right now is we're basically making the connector pieces. And these connector pieces are going to connect those 2 parts together. So if you didn't want to do a heart, if you wanted to do a football helmet, or if you wanted to do a donkey, or if you wanted to do a smiley face, whatever the basic shapes are, you just make 2 of them, and then you make connector strips, and then it's all about the decoration and how you make it your own. So that half circle template I put in here is really good for, like, maybe you want to make a moon, or maybe you want to make a slice of pizza or a taco, or maybe you want to make a lime or a watermelon, lots of different things. So the whole point of these connector pieces is that now that I have all these triangles cut out, these papers can bend and fold for me. So I'm curious if anybody's crafting along with me. If you need any help, let me know. Looks like we have a good group of people that are crafting. And we've made the 2 basic shapes. I happen to be using hearts cut out of any kind of cardstock you have. I'm cutting out 2 connector strips because I know these 2 connector strips are going to be enough. You might need a 3rd one if your shape is different or more complicated. When you look at those templates that I put in this class, the easiest ones to do are going to be something like the circle, the half circle, or the heart, because it's really easy to attach the connector pieces. When you start having something like the donkey that has lots of different angles in it, it's going to be harder and it might take a couple more extra strips, but it's still going to be worth it and it's still going to be fun. So we have at least 2 connector pieces, depending on what shape you're working on, and the 2 cardstock parts. And now I'm ready for the part where I said I like to use my tape dispenser, because what we're going to do is we are going to take the teeth from the connector pieces, and we're basically going to tape them down. And this part can be as messy as you want it to be. No one is going to see this part because we're going to cover it up with crepe paper. And then remember, the point of these is kind of to destroy them. So don't spend too much time making it perfect, because this is something meant to be destroyed. So I'm going to start taping just 1 layer. So all the different teeth, I'm going to match up the teeth to the top of my heart right here. And I'm just going to keep taping these teeth down. You can put some of the teeth on top of the heart and some of the teeth underneath the heart if you want to. It doesn't matter if they go up or down. I think for the most part, I'm going to tape these on the top just because it's easier for me to tape them. So maybe take 1 or 2 teeth at a time and start taping them down to kind of give the connector pieces the same shape as the base piece. Now you might notice that this cardstock might feel a little flimsy, but there are different levels of cardstock that you can use. So if you want your piñata to hold up to a couple of really good hits, I would use cardboard instead of cardstock. If you want your piñata to just easily break open, you could use computer paper instead of cardstock. So there's lots of ways to make your Galentine's piñata. using this cardstock today, but you can use the same process to make something even bigger. And I'm going to show you when I get to the end over here that I do have a little bit extra. So what I like to do is take the connector piece and make a purposeful fold where that folded line goes. And if this tooth doesn't make sense, or if it goes too far over, you can always cut this down, but it looks like my tooth winds up being pretty good to keep the shape down here at the bottom of the heart. So I'm going to use my tape to tape down this tooth at the bottom of the heart, and I'm just going to keep going. So far, so good. And in the heart that I made before, I left a trap door so that I could open this up and fill it with pom-poms. That's what this one is filled with. But you can fill it with candy, you can fill it with money, you can fill it with beautiful, heartfelt, meaningful sayings to someone. Whatever you want to fill this heart with, you can. And then once you use your trapdoor to fill it, then you can just go ahead and add tape and just secure this. Now, again, if you want your piñata to withstand some force, then you want to make sure that you use lots of tape and sturdy paper. But if you are fine with your piñata busting open after just a couple of hits, then you're on the right track already. So we are going to leave a trapdoor in this one too. I've already used the connector strip to put this across. And now I'm going to keep going. And I am going to attach on the other side of the heart. So I'm going to start in the crease in the corner and get that first tooth taped down. And then these just bend. So that's the whole point of us cutting out those triangles, is for us to be able to bend this around and match whatever shape our base object is. So thanks for participating in the chat. Feel free to ask me questions, or let me know if you're crafting with me, if you're celebrating Galentine's Day, or if you're celebrating the Super Bowl, or what are you celebrating this weekend that you need a piñata for? Well, let me know. Good to see you all here. So thanks for coming. All right. So I'm just matching these teeth up and taping them down. And then you'll see that I have some extra again. So I can fold over this extra, but remember we talked about a trap door. So at some point you want to stop depending on how big the prizes are, and you can kind of fold it back in order to make this trapdoor section so that I can fill it with some treats and then glue it back up or glue it back down. If you want your piñata to be able to hang from something, you can also throw in some rope and then do a lot of securing it with extra tape, packing tape, extra cardboard or whatever to really secure those strings in here. If you want to hang it from something, if you're making a larger piñata. All right, so this is what we have so far. We have our base attached with this, and then we're about to go in, and you can imagine that we're just going to tape this to those connector pieces as well. And we have this trap door that I'm going to leave. I'm not going to close it all the way up yet so that I can keep some prizes in there. Or at this point, you can fill it with prizes and then go ahead and put the top on also. So it's kind of up to you of how big you want the prizes to be or what you want to put inside of this piñata. But I think we're doing pretty well so far. So here's a little trick. For this next part, sometimes it's hard to keep the heart where you want it to be when you're about to tape and glue these next teeth on here. So you might want to put something that's about the same height. Remember that our crepe paper was on purpose about the same height as our width of our connector pieces. So you can use that to kind of sit this heart on and then just bend these pieces over top of it. Just remember to grab it back out, or else you're going to have some crepe paper inside of your piñata. And maybe you don't want to give your crepe paper away, so you might need to keep that. So before I get all the way over here, I'll grab that back out. But for now, it's nice to keep it so that it can keep this sturdy. And again, it's fine if the teeth are under the heart or over the heart. So this one's over and this one's under. It's fine. You can just put tape either way. So if you want to go over, under, just to give both sides reinforcement, you can do that too. And feel free for this tape to be generous and messy. And again, if you want this to withstand a bunch of different hits, then you might want to use packing tape or masking tape, or even duct tape if you really, really want it to stick together for a little bit longer. So I'm putting all of these together. I'm just pulling the teeth up and over and taping them down, making that nice connection. That's about the same width as the crepe paper roll and would be a good size to put lots of different candy in. If you wanted something bigger, you just need to make your connector strips bigger. All right, we're at a good point where I'm going to take this out for a minute and keep going around. I've given myself some good base to work on. I'm going to keep this trap door open here on this side. And then I'm going to keep taping down. You can stick your hands in here to kind of support it from underneath. If you don't have a crepe paper roll to kind of keep it up for you for a while, just really look around and see if you have anything. Jenga blocks, stack of erasers, whatever you can find that would be about that same height to give you some help.
Hey, Megan.
Sure.
If they were to use cardboard for the shape, what would they use for the sides? Would it also be cardboard?
Great question. Yeah, I would also use cardboard, or like you can make the bases with cardboard to make them even larger. And then if you wanted to, you could make the connectors still out of cardstock. But if you wanted to hold up, then I would make everything out of cardboard for sure. And I've done it before where you take a big Amazon box or something and use an X-Acto knife to kind of cut yourself those strips. And then you'll definitely need to crease something before you fold up the connector pieces. But yeah, that's a great idea. So I'm a huge piñata fan and I enjoy making them for lots of different occasions. And so one of my favorite occasions to make a piñata for is New Year's, because who doesn't want to get rid of the last year and get into the new year? So I love busting up the numbers of whatever the previous year was and then moving on to the new year. And so you can even have some kind of party where you throw in like some intentions or some ideas for what your next year is going to be or what you want to manifest in that next year, and just really release the last year and move into the next year. So that's one of my favorite things to do. Now you see that I've left this trapdoor, and this is way more than enough. So I can cut down this extra strip at the end of here. And I'm going to go ahead and cut these teeth because I don't really need them for my trapdoor. So I have left this space. If you want this space bigger, you can, but I've left at least this much, and then you can tell that I can go back and tape this down after I have filled it. So we have made the form of our mini piñata, and the next step in making cool piñatas is to decorate. So I'm going to decorate with crepe paper. And if you have some stickers, or I can show you how to cut out your own letters, then we can do that. So to decorate this one, you're going to want whatever color crepe paper you want. I think I'm going for a dark black heart, the heart of goth and galentines, or something like that. Or it could be a beautiful heart full of love and joy. But I'm going to start cutting strips from my crepe paper roll that are all about the same size. And the size is just a little bit bigger than the widest part of the heart. So I'm cutting a couple of those strips. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those strips and I'm going to create some fringe. And if you want to use multiple colors, you can do a couple of strips of each one of those colors. So there's lots of ways to do this part too and really make it fun and make it your own. Now, if you don't have crepe paper, I've definitely used construction paper. I've definitely even used cardstock before. So whatever you have is what you should use. Piñatas are made to be broken. So don't spend too much time or too much special, don't don't spend all your time and money making special things for this piñata since you're just going to break it. Now that I have all these strips lined up, I'm going to go through and I'm going to create fringe. So for my fringe, you'll see that I'm not cutting all the way up. I'm probably leaving about maybe a 1/2 inch or a little bit more than a 1/4 inch that doesn't have the fringe so that I can have a spot to be able to glue that down. So I'm cutting this fringe almost all the way up. And I'm just going to cut all of these strips at the same time to kind of help me get some motion. That's what I like about this crepe paper, is that it has some flow to it. It can blow in the breezes. It can get shaken up when you break it. So I'm cutting all this fringe. And we're going to lay this on our heart, and then we're going to carefully trim it all down too. So I'm going to line up this trapdoor as if it were closed. And it looks like I need to cut this triangle a little bit so that it fits in nicer. So that triangle can now squeeze underneath here and let my trapdoor close on the side. And then when you're lining up your pieces, in order to do this next part, you're going to start from the bottom and you're going to be laying these down. And it is absolutely fine that it's way too big at the bottom, because we're going to cut all of this down to the perfect size after we've glued it. But we're going to have plenty of strips with all this fringe. We're going to keep layering these. And all we're going to be doing is we're going to be using some kind of white glue, Elmer's glue, school glue, any kind of white tacky glue. Technically, you could use a glue stick, but I think that a liquid glue is actually going to do better for you. So you're going to, about 1 inch up from the bottom of your heart, you're going to make a line of white glue going across, and maybe just a little dab at the bottom too to hold that down. And then you're going to lay one of your strips. You're going to definitely have extras on both sides, so don't worry about that. And remember that it might dry a little dark, it might dry a little crusty, but you know what? Again, the point is to break the piñata. You probably don't keep a piñata forever. I mean, maybe you could, but it's not what it's actually made for. So then I'm going to do another line of glue, and I'm going to line up another line of the crepe paper. And the reason why I was starting at the bottom and going up is so that each layer has this fringe. If I would have started from the top, then I would have kept layering over top of the fringe and it wouldn't have the same movement. So you definitely want to start from the bottom and keep going up. I'm going to keep making lines about around 1 inch, maybe a little bit less. And you can already have filling inside of your piñata at this point if you want to, or you can wait and fill it at the end. And you can keep that trapdoor open, or you can close it if you've already filled it and you're finished with that part. So I'm just layering about 1 inch each time, some white liquid glue, and I'm putting down the crepe paper lines. And I'm leaving about that same amount each time to kind of give it some fringe, give it some pizzazz. And if you start running out, then you can always cut down. So notice I'm going along the line of this heart right here. And now I have these extra strips that I could use up here also if you're running out of strips. Or you can cut yourself some more. But I'm all about using these scraps. Piñatas are definitely scrappy. If you can see through and you don't like seeing the color through, you can do a couple layers of this crepe paper. So I don't mind seeing through, but if you don't want to be able to see the paper underneath, then I would suggest using maybe a white paper or a couple layers of crepe paper. If you don't have crepe paper, you can also use tissue paper, construction paper, even printer paper. All of it would kind of work in the same way. So I have covered my heart, but you can't really see the shape of the heart. until I go back through and cut it down. So you can either flip it over or you can cut it from the other side, but I'm going to match the fringe to the shape of my actual heart. There we go. So that's one side. And you can keep trimming it like you're a hairstylist, creating your beautiful trim over here. And then I'm going to go on the top and on the sides in order to keep going and finish trimming up my heart. Now you can decorate the back, but again, I'm not going to take the time to make fabulous fringe on the back. I could leave it this color of whatever cardstock I was using for my template. Or you can just decorate it with a solid piece. You do not have to make fringe on both sides if you don't want to. Here we go. Trim this down. Give me a good shape on that side, following the lines of the piñata. Looking good. I like to keep a garbage pail right next to my table so I can kind of just brush them into that garbage. Kind of keep myself a nice working space as I go. So this is what I have so far. You can keep trimming it down until I find something that I like. If you have some pieces that are hanging out funky, you can always put a little bit more glue down to kind of keep them in the place that you want them to keep in. If you have stickers, like letter stickers, you can create a message using those. If you just want to add some glitter, add some glue, add some stickers, add some rhinestones, you can in order to fancy this up. I also am going to go back through and I'm going to cover these sides using the crepe paper. So I purposely made the sides to be about the exact same size. So you can use double-sided tape, you can use regular tape, or you can use glue to kind of run this whole connector piece. And I'm just going to take the crepe paper roll. I'm going to make some lines going across every once in a while. And I'm going to line this up. There we go. And just cover those sides. And the glue doesn't need to dry that long, probably less than an hour. I would guess about 15 minutes would be nice if you have that. So I made myself some lines on each side and some lines going across. And I'm going to go ahead and fold that down and attach it. And then at this point, since I have the trap door down here, you might want to cut it into two pieces. And I'm going to start from here and go around this way so that I still have that trap door. So I'm going to make these lines on the outside, outlining it, and also a couple every once in a while going across to hold that crepe paper. Again, that can be tissue paper. It can be lots of different things if you don't have a roll of crepe paper. But it's fun with the crepe paper, so I recommend it. I'm just laying this down. And then for my trap door, I'm going to cut off the bottom so that it matches the bottom of the trap door. I'm going to lay this down. And right at the end here where my trap door is, oh, I got it. So now you have nice sides, you have nice front. If you'd like to leave the back, you can. If you'd like to cover the back in crepe paper, you can. And if you'd like to make some words or a sentiment or something, you can do that with stickers, or you can do that with some extra paper you happen to have. So I happen to have some extra paper, and I'm going to make some block letters. So let's see. I think I'm going to make them about 2 inches. Oops. Got it? Yep. I'm going to make it about 2 inches wide using my paper cutter. There we go. And then the way I like to do this is some block letters that my mom taught me how to make a long time ago. I'm going to cut this down because I only want the saying to be no wider than this. And then what I like to do if I'm going to write a word like love that has 4 letters, I'm going to fold it in half and fold it in half again. And that's going to give me 4 rectangles. And each one of those rectangles will be a letter that I can cut out and put onto this heart. So I'm going to go ahead and close this trap door, but you might not want to close yours because you still need to fill it with something. But I'm going to keep that closed just for now. And I'm going to cut some of these block letters to say love. And then I think we're just about done with this piñata. So in less than an hour, you can definitely crank out a really cool piñata that you can give as a gift, or you can use as a part of the party, an event, if you will. And piñatas are for every party, I think, not just birthdays. They can be for lots of things. So each one of these is going to be a letter. I'm going to cut out the word love. So I'm going to block out the letter L. When I do my O, I fold it in half. And I try and keep that same thickness as what I had before, all the way around. So notice this is about as thick as this and about as thick as this. And when I open that up, I'm going to have the letter O. When I fold this in half, then I'm going to cut out the letter V, make it nice and symmetric. There we go. And then I'm going to take the last one and cut out the letter E, trying to keep each one of those lines on the letter E about the same thickness as what I had before. And I blocked out some really cool letters to say love. You can position them however you want to. I love this color scheme with the turquoise and the black. And then I'm just going to take some tape. I know the block letters are good, right? It makes you keep your letters the same size, and it helps you be able to space things properly. So I'm going to use a little bit of glue on each one of these, and I'm going to attach those letters. And I'm going to be done with my fantastic piñata. And the lines of the crepe paper are kind of helping me keep my letters. So if you have made a piñata with me, or if you're watching this video and you were able to complete a piñata, I would love to see what you made. So feel free to share it by tagging Learn with Michaels, or using a hashtag Learn with Michaels or Michaels classes, and then I'll be able to see what you made. So I'd love for you to share that with me. And I love this piñata. So thank you so much for coming to this class today and making a cool paper piñata with me. And I can't wait to see you next time. Thanks for coming.